They say you are what you eat, so I don't eat chicken feet. But I love me some of Grandma's pickled beets. Well, cut it up, put it in the pan, throw it over your shoulder and see where it lands right here in Farmer's Kitchen. Maters, taters, beans and corn, the cows in the barn and the sheep's been shorn, kids in the barnyard chasing Grandpa's chicken. Spices, slices, cuts and dices, gonna slash your grocery prices right here in Farmer's Kitchen. Help you grow your garden good with recipes to suit your mood. Try some grub you've never tried before. Smash it with a wooden mallet. Gonna educate your palate. Right here in Farmer's Kitchen. In Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. We're gonna cook something good now.
Funding for Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen is brought to you by the City of Stanford, Kentucky. Come back home to Stanford. L81 Bottling Company. Taste, love, and share the tradition. Woods Equipment Company has every tool you need to make working the land as rewarding as hunting it. Good Foods Co-op, Marksbury Farm Market, Weisenberger Mill, your village shop.
Well, hello, Mrs. Farmer.
Hi, Mr. Farmer.
Welcome to Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen.
Hi. Oh, thank you.
Isn't it a beautiful day? No. It's raining again. We had a cowboy cooking segment. We had all kinds of outdoor stuff we were going to do, but it's not going to happen. We're going to be inside, but we do have a packed show for you. Sometimes the simple stuff that we do, we forget.
That's right.
But not everybody does. You know, we try to remember those things our parents and grandparents did. And I put a picture on our Facebook page, which you should visit, by the way, Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen Facebook page, and like it, of soup beans.
You love your beans.
I love my beans. You know, beans, they're good for the heart. I think a scientist said that.
Yeah, he did.
Or was it
a child,
song?
an 8-year-old kid?
They probably are.
Okay.
But you know what? I love, as a kid, you know, you go to the store and you buy canned stuff, and you buy, you know, we get canned soup.
Right.
Sometimes it was just Campbell soup, different brands. But I always loved the bean with bacon soup. Now, I love my own soup as well.
You're good at soup.
You know, we've done cowboy beans over the fire.
Right.
But I wanted, every now and then, I craved that particular taste like I grew up with a kid, of the bean with bacon soup. Right. And I had some dried beans, some navy beans that had been just a little past the expiration date. Well, they're dried, so what? So I decided to make a batch of beans. Now, the picture that we took on Facebook, this was right after we took them out. They were still clear. Now they've set a couple days and they look more like bean soup. There are times when I got a hankering for beans, I can eat a whole jar.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe two.
Please don't.
But they're good for the
heart.
Just
eat one.
So I went and I concocted my own version.
Tore up the kitchen?
Tore up the kitchen.
Yep, but...
Which I cleaned up after myself.
Really? You did?
To some extent.
Okay.
And now I've got these. You notice that a couple are missing?
I do notice them are missing.
Right, that's because I've eaten them.
That's because they're good.
This is so simple. Now we have a 16-quart Presto. It's probably the most common pressure canner out there.
Had it forever.
We've had it forever. When we bought it, it was like $50. They're probably more than that
Right.
now. I'd say in the $80, maybe $90 range. You can find them on sale anywhere.
Yeah.
What else can you find on clearance sale, which we found very recently? Oh, maybe some quart jars, which we can can with. These have already been sterilized. You want to see how simple this is? This is amazingly simple. These beans, by the way, we have rinsed. Beans are dirty. A lot of times we buy them in the store, and if you notice, if you cook them, a lot of times the whole process of cooking beans, first of all, you got to boil them a little bit, then let them sit, and then come back, and it's a long, drawn-out process.
Right.
Canning several jars of beans actually takes less time than cooking a pot of beans
It's true.
the old-fashioned way.
It's true.
Here is a cup of beans.
That's it.
What are we going to do now? We're going to take, let's say 2 tablespoons of onions. Very important part of this. If you will, cut me up some celery.
You want them small?
Yep. A really good taste with any bean you gotta have, to me, a little bit of celery in there. It really gives it a nice flavor. Now we're gonna do equal amounts of each. You just throw them in the top. And now if you'll do me some carrots, I'm gonna go a little bit heavier on the carrots.
Okay.
Most people have all of these ingredients in their home. If not, you can improvise a little bit. Carrots. Get back here. I'm trying to run away.
Looks pretty already.
Isn't that pretty? Mm-hmm. Now when you cook them, these vegetables will float to the top, but when you pour them back out in the pan and heat them up, it's all good. Then we're gonna take some bacon. Somebody said, can you can bacon? Well, think about bean with bacon soup. Most bean with bacon soup has bacon in it. Now, we're cooking this at 90 minutes. Pressure cooking this at 90 minutes. You can pressure cook pork, be it sausage. If you wanted to put ham in here instead of bacon, I like the bacon flavor in this bean soup because it really has that smoky flavor, and that really adds to me to a bean soup. So let's take,
How much bacon you want?
oh, let's put a goodly portion of bacon in there.
Kind of separate them?
About the same amount of bacon as you're putting in everything else. Now, that you would think would sufficiently produce enough smoked seasoning, but no. We're gonna come back with a little bit of natural hickory seasoning. And if I had to guess, there's probably, oh, I don't know. What would you say, 1/4 of a teaspoon there?
At least, yeah.
All right, now, this is a teaspoon, but we're probably gonna go a heaping 2 teaspoons. That gives us that little bit of acid and a little bit of sweet flavor in there, along with the smoky flavor, and just a little bit of sweetness, which I like in my soups. Now, I discovered this a long time ago. Nature seasoning.
You love that.
Now it's got some garlic, it's got some onion, it's got some different spices. I'm gonna go, not heavy, but just cover the top of that pretty good. Let's open up some chicken bouillon. That's gonna give it that good stocky flavor. So I've taken 2, or you've taken 2 bouillon cubes, chicken. I'm just gonna powder them up. Now they would break up themselves because when they pressure cook, it really boils furiously inside of these jars. All right, so we've got our stocky flavor from the chicken bouillon. Now what are we gonna do? We're gonna come back with 1 cup of chicken broth. Remember, when you cook your chickens, always save your broth. 1 cup of water. We want 1-inch headspace, as usual. About right there. We see the beginnings of a yummy, yummy soup. Now, if you choose, now we've already got some sodium in here, obviously from the bouillon, but if you want to put a little salt and pepper in there, we do love our pepper.
Yes, we do.
Pepper Bandit comes by and tries to take it every now and then, but
Yes, he does.
we got our cameras on all the time watching for him. We make sure the top, there's no breaks, no problems with the glass there. Now we'll take this and several other jars just like it. Where have we seen this before? We'll drop them in the pressure cooker.
Right.
Let's go over that real quick. Pressure cookers are safe if you follow basic rules. Steam escapes through the top of that pressure cooker, through that hole. That hole should never be plugged. What I do is I look through it and I also blow through it ahead of time to make sure that steam and pressure can escape out of there. Set that in there. We're gonna heat that water up, that existing water in there. We're gonna force the steam out. When you start to see steam coming out the top, you'll see little drippings of water off the side. You do that for 10 minutes. That starts letting some of that pressure come out. After that 10 minutes, you put your jiggler on top. In this part of the world we're at, it's due to elevation. In Kentucky, we need 10 pounds pressure. There's your jiggler. That's 10 with this ring on right here. We set that on there after it's set for 10 minutes. When you hear the first inkling that you got your jiggling going,
You start dancing.
you start dancing. When your jiggler starts jiggling,
Yeah.
start timing from that point. From that point, you got 90 minutes. Now what happens inside that pressure cooker? There's an intense amount of steam, pressure, and that boils furiously. So 90 minutes later, you let that sit. You're not in any hurry. Don't try to take that off too soon. When this little pressure thing pops down inside, you know this time. I usually let it sit for half hour, 45 minutes, and it'll slowly come down. And here's what you've got. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. You hungry?
I'm starving. Wow, let me smell. Wow, that smells really good.
All right, now, if you will, go ahead and scoop that out in here. Well, that's hot.
Do you want all of it in there?
Yep, because I'm hungry. Now look at that.
Wow.
Now we can put as much liquid as we want. If you like yours a little thicker, you don't have to put anything at all in there. That's about like I wanted. I just put just a little bit of chicken broth in there. All right. Now,
Ta-da.
let's let them heat up for just a minute.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about how much a little old can of soup costs nowadays. I think it's like close to $2.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Is that what it is? These jars have got a little bit of cost, but once you've bought them, you reuse
Use them forever. Yeah.
over and over and over. You always want to check the top to make sure there's no dings or no broken glass. So when you break the cost down of the carrots and the onions and the beans, 1 cup of beans, I'm thinking we have probably got in each jar, I'll bet you we don't have 50 cents, 35 to 50 cents.
And it tastes better.
And it tastes better.
Yeah.
And you know where it came from. You know what you got. And in just a few minutes, you know what's good with that in the summertime? I know this is going to sound crazy. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Really?
That's what Mom
All right.
always made. We had beans
With
and
your
peanut
beans.
butter. I absolutely love that. Now, one thing that you have to have, I love Mom's chow chow.
Right.
Have we got some?
Yes, we do.
Mom takes whatever she's got, puts it in there, and oh my gosh,
Delicious.
it's perfect with beans. What else do you have to have? Cornbread. We cheated today.
Yes, we did.
Now, this is something that we tried a while back, and we didn't really know how it was going to work. But sometimes you're in a hurry. Like today, we want to eat quickly.
Right.
We had a hush puppy mix, and I thought, it's already got some onion flavor in it. Why not take that and put it in a dish? All you add is water. That's all
Very
you
simple.
add. Normally, with a hush puppy mix, you deep fry it for 2 to 3 minutes. So what we did is put it in a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes.
Right.
Then put a little bit of butter on the top. Watch this. Now, if you will, hold my bowl up here.
It smells good.
I'm telling you what, it's got that nice smoky flavor, and it's got that little bit of acid and sweetness from the tomatoes. Now this is just me, but when I was a kid, and even today, I guess I'm still kind of a kid, pop that one out right there. Here's the way I like my beans. Pop another one out too if you don't mind. Oh, it's got an onion smell to it. That's just me.
That much?
That much.
Can we taste?
90 minutes later, and again, you could have 7 of these ready. You think it's cooled down enough?
I think so. I'm ready.
Now, to me, that's the perfect bowl of beans.
Wow. That chow chow makes it good too. Sweetens it right up.
And that's a good country meal right there.
Delicious.
We get a lot of things off the farm now.
Right.
We do our own garden, we do our own canning, we raise our own vegetables as much as we can. Our chickens give us eggs.
Yay.
But we have fertile eggs. Now, shall we travel from the kitchen to the living room? There they separated, and Duncan returned to the advanced post of the French, accompanied as before, whence he instantly proceeded to the fort and to the quarters of his own commander. And that concludes this episode of Living Room Theater. Not. You know what? I have a really good wife, because not that many wives would allow their living room to be commandeered by an incubator. So here we are in the living room, and Nicki has graciously allowed me to bring in the incubator. Now here's what you have to do, and it's a fairly complicated process, but if you watch an old broody chicken, you know, when she's getting ready to nest,
Right.
you know, she wants to keep those eggs. She does not want you to grab those eggs and take them out of there. She'll peck you, and you know, I've never lost any fingers over
Right.
it. It's not a violent pecking, but anyhow. What we have done is we have taken our own incubator. We've done this many times before. We used to have a friend who every year we would give them some fertilized eggs, which means we have a rooster who's
Right.
actively seeking girlfriends
Okay.
in the field. And what we have found is over the years, even if you go to a place that has chickens, there's always the expert
Right.
who says, I guarantee you these are all hens.
Yeah. You get one hen.
Well,
You will.
yeah,
Two,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean.
not as many as they say usually. It's hard,
Yeah.
it is really hard to tell, regardless of the method they use. Feathers, lift
Right.
them up by this or that or the other. There's all these. It's really hard to tell. Anyhow, we got too many roosters, and we need some more hens, and we're getting 2 eggs every day. Now we have been
Yeah.
collecting some of those, but I didn't have quite enough. I want to do about 18 because we know we're going to get some roosters.
Right.
So our friend Johnny Widener brought us some eggs. His eggs are fertilized as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to take 2 of our black roosters and have some stir fry
Yum.
and some other
Yeah.
sort of things.
Keep the pretty one.
We're going to keep our barred rock
Okay.
and let him run around out there. We have our incubator. Now, you can get the styrofoam kind, and they're very reasonable.
Right.
And if you did several, I think you could put 41 eggs in this, several batches, it'd pay for itself pretty quick. I think we paid about $90 for this one. It's reinforced. It's got the temperature gauge right here. This particular model has the turners in it. Now, you have to turn your eggs daily, a couple times
But
a
we
day.
won't have to, 'cause
We won't
it's-
have to
okay.
because we have automatic turners in here. You don't have to open it up. If you get the humidity just where you need it, which is about 60%,
Right.
and then you get your temperature up around 99.5 is perfection, 100 degrees, right into the 98 to 100 degree mark, you're going to be okay. And again, if you do collect your own eggs and you want to do this for the first time, make sure over the course of the days you take and you kind of tilt your eggs different directions every day or so. Change it up just a little bit. And you want to take the big side of the egg and put that up while you're waiting to put it in the incubator till you gather all your eggs. But anything outside of 7 to 10 days, you really stand a chance of having some duds.
Yeah.
After about 9 days, we want to candle these eggs. So you can hold these eggs up, click on that light, and look in a dark environment, and you can see a developing chicken.
We got a baby.
If it's absolutely clear, you need to get that out because as Johnny and I were talking, and gases can build up,
Maybe
and
rats.
you don't want that
Yeah.
in there, especially in your living room.
Right.
Now, as you can see, there's a little motor right here, and it gently rocks those eggs back and forth. That way, we don't have to reach in there and move those eggs around. It's just this simple, and we'll keep track, and you can watch them hatch with us. These, by all rights, should hatch on my birthday.
Yeah, that'll be nice. That's your birthday present.
And there you go.
I have to buy you nothing this year.
Now, again, we'll keep our eye on humidity. We'll keep our eye on temperature. And the last 3 days, we're going to take the turner out. The last 3 days, we're going to just lay that egg on the bottom of the meshing down there. We'll take the turner out, lay those down. They don't need to move those last 3 days.
Okay.
That chick is getting in the position to come out of that egg. Then they have this little egg tooth. It's so interesting. We'll show you when they
cute.
come out. So we should have chicks by Easter.
Yay.
And if you can't find fertilized eggs, you can actually buy them from chicken dealers.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can go around and find next door neighbors or
They'll
folks.
mail them to you.
They'll mail them
That's
to you.
right.
They will. Shipped fertile eggs.
right.
But hey,
We're ready.
I think we've got everything done here to have some chickie babies in a
Yay.
very short amount of time. You know what we haven't used tonight?
What?
Butter.
We gotta have
We
butter.
don't want people to accuse us of not using butter in some recipes.
Ooh, yum.
So we're going to take and start our next recipe. Now, recently, Large Marge had a makeover,
Yes, she did.
and she ended up a lot prettier than she started out. This would have normally been a cowboy cooking segment. We're using all the same stuff that we would have done in a cowboy cooking segment. The great thing about this stuff is you can use it inside.
That's right.
But this is something, it's a meal in itself. Now, tonight our theme for the whole show is pork and beans.
Yes.
What a match made in heaven. It's like peanut
That's
butter
right.
and jelly.
That's right.
Now, in order to get the perfect taste of all these things, let's get these started. What we're gonna do is take our pork chops. You know what, let's put a little salt and pepper in there. I'll do the salt, you do the pepper.
For Glenn, I'll do the pepper.
Who's Glenn? Glenn is the pepper man.
He came by to visit the other
He
day.
did come out to visit. Did he bring his pepper?
He didn't bring any pepper.
He would love his pepper so much he would give you a lot of things, but he wouldn't give his
He
pepper
doesn't share
away.
his pepper, does he?
No, he's got piles of it in the basement.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to simply take these pork chops and put them, ooh, the shizzle
Oh, good.
in here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to fry this. It's going to take just a little while. We're going to get it almost done.
Okay.
You know what? Look at those pork chops. That's almost like patties down in Western Kentucky. They're almost that big.
These have been some of the best we've ever had.
We're back to beans and pork, but this is a whole different ball game. Let's go about, I don't know, 14, 16 ounces of black beans, some of our canned tomatoes, equal amount. We're gonna put that in there as well. We're gonna come back with about the same amount of corn. There's frozen corn there. We've already cut up, 2/3 of a decent sized yellow sweet onion. Let's take out some already pickled jalapenos. We're gonna give this just a little bit of zing. And it depends whether you like that sort of thing or not. Let me go ahead and add the onions.
Right.
You're cutting up the fresh cilantro.
Would you like these in?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Now the pork chops are gonna be almost done, but not quite.
You want that cut up a little more, or how do you want
A bit
that?
more. We're gonna take, what is that? 3 heaping tablespoons, maybe
Yeah.
4 of cilantro. Now, that is beautiful stuff.
Smells good too.
Now let's come back with a 1/2 cup. We're gonna use brown rice, just because we can. That's all we had left.
All right.
A 1/2 cup of chicken broth and a 1/2 cup of white wine. So what do we have here? We have a beautiful potpourri of wonderful, now that's a meal. Now you think about that rice is gonna plump up, it's gonna absorb this, and you're gonna end up with a nice, yummy, whole dinner right here.
Yum.
Now what's important flavor-wise in this? Well, cumin. How
Okay.
much are we gonna put in there? I'll show you. That much? No, we're gonna go more than that. We're gonna go that much.
Okay.
And that's a tablespoon, so however much that is.
About a heaping, wouldn't it?
Well,
You
not,
don't think so? Okay.
Just put it on the end of it. Now you're gonna smell
Smells
almost
good.
instantly.
And it's pretty colors. Again.
It's pretty. Look at
colors.
that. It's
I
a
like
beautiful potpourri. Now, if you would like, and I would, I'm gonna put a little Tony's in here.
You love Tony's, don't you?
Just a little bit to give it a little extra flavor. Mix that up. Now, is that in itself not awful pretty?
Smells delicious.
Did you notice the main thing in there, seasoning-wise?
Cumin.
Yep. This really turns out nice. So one of those nights when you're busy, what do we end up with here? Pork chops here, pork chops there. I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's take our drippings, put it in here. We don't want to waste that. Look at that.
Looks good already.
What are we gonna do?
Gonna cook it
We're
some
gonna
more.
put the top on. Oven 350.
Okay.
Pop it in the oven for about an hour. Now remember, your pork chops are already done. What you're really doing at this point is cooking the rice. But if you got this outside, which we can't do right now because it's raining, but you have the additional smoke added flavor. It's just, there's something about being outside. If not, pop it in your oven
Works this
for a
way.
little over an hour. That rice will absorb that and you'll come back with something great. This
Oh wow. Turned out wonderful.
has turned out, you know,
Wow.
the pork chops shrink up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and make a pretty plate here. You can tell that's been in the oven. Look, what a plate. Now, we're not done yet. Look at our wonderful, look how our rice has plumped
Wow.
up. The tomatoes and everything is so well cooked. And there's an awesome aroma arising. Look at there, Mrs. Farmer.
Looks delish.
We have now a delightful, wonderful pork dish. The pork itself is nice and tender. The moisture underneath it.
Wow. Good flavor. That's delicious. I could eat just that even. That is so good.
Is that not nice? Stay tuned. In just a minute, we have a surprise for you. It's almost too much gratuitous cuteness.
Yes, it is.
You can't hardly stand it. We're just going to show you a little history of some things that have happened around the farm in the last little bit.
Aw,
Look
they're
at you.
precious. Precious. I love them.
It's so much fun
Yeah.
to raise critters on the farm. We had a whole lot of fun tonight. We hope you did too. We got a lot of new recipes coming up. Hopefully warm weather, please.
Yes.
Can we have it?
Yes.
And then the outside adventures begin.
Right.
So much stuff that we want to do this spring. We want you to go with us. The ultimate end of everything we do, maybe not cedar trees. We're not going to eat cedar trees, but
That's
they're going to
right.
end up in Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen.
That's right.
You know what it's all about?
Good times
Good friends.
and good eats.
Special thanks to Furniture World Superstore, Housewarmings, Lodge Cast Iron, Tater Knob Pottery and Farm. Funding for Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen is brought to you by Diamond Gusset Jeans, the original Gusset Jean. Careful craftsmanship, continual improvement. Diamond Gusset Jeans, born and worn in the USA since 1987.
So, Jill, I know the markets have taken a hit lately. Just wanted to touch base.
How did Edward Jones come to manage over $800 billion in assets?
Here's our latest market outlook. There are two things that I'd like to point out.
So that's interesting. You know, we had spoken about that before.
Through FaceTime when you really need it. It's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing.